Today we're going to go step by step buying a home in Frisco, Texas. So if you've been thinking about buying a home in Frisco, now is the time. So we're going to go through every single step from getting prepared financially, looking at what the mortgage payments are going to look like, the type of real estate available in Frisco, and ultimately how to make your home purchase so much faster, so much better, so much stress-free. Basically what's happening. Sorry, I forgot to turn this on to test that the audio is working okay. All right, so let's buy a house in Frisco. We're going to go through every single step along the way. So as you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat because we're getting started right now. All right. Number one question. Well, let me back up for a quick second. All of our notes, the entire step-by-step guide, along with yo, Eli, what's up? Good seeing you. All of our notes, everything that you're going to possibly need is in the DFWHomebuyerClass.com. So make sure you check that website out. It's going to set you up perfectly with all of the guides, all of the tools that we have. There's calculators in there. There's checklists that we use here internally from our internal sales team that we manage all the transactions with, whether it's new construction, whether it's resale. We have all the resources there available for you. So if you're thinking about buying in Frisco, that's the only website that you're going to need. It's going to give you access to how to protest property taxes. It's going to show you what to do after you close. It's going to give you everything in between. So DFWHomebuyerClass.com, DFWHomebuyerClass.com, DFWHomebuyerClass.com. All right, let's get going. That's enough. All right, so number one question you want to ask yourself is, if it makes sense for me to buy, will I actually do it? Now, I'll say it again. If it makes sense for me to buy, will I actually do it? Really ask yourself that, internalize that question, and be honest with yourself. If the answer is yes, if it makes sense for me to buy, if the property's right, the price is right, and I like the deal, yeah, I do plan to buy. I will actually do it. But if the answer is no, if the perfect scenario exists, which we'll talk about setting up the perfect scenario for you, if the perfect scenario exists and you still don't plan to go through with it, save yourself some time, save yourself some energy. It's there's no need to feel pressured by either coworkers that just bought a house, or you hearing, hey, now would be the time to do it, so let me just go and explore this. And if there's really no intention of actually buying, then save yourself the energy. Save yourself the energy. I know it sounds so weird but it's actually the first question I ask our clients. Hey, assuming that we find everything that you're looking for, it makes the perfect deal. The perfect deal is out there. Is this something that you want to move forward with? Because we certainly don't want to pressure anybody into something that they don't want to do. So I know it's a unique question, but it's been working well. It's been working well for a lot of our clients that ultimately they decide, hey, you know what? I actually don't think I'm going to move forward with it, even if I do find that house. So next step that we go into our home buying process, again, we're going step by step on how to buy a home in Frisco, is we look at we have a quick financial assessment. So we walk through the three main expenses, or the three main things to consider whenever you're buying a home. Number one is the ongoing cost. So this includes the mortgage payment, this includes home maintenance, this includes HOAs, repairs, the ongoing cost of being a homeowner. If you're coming from an apartment, especially if you're coming from an apartment, you might not be used to the additional expenses such as utilities. Utilities are going to cost more. Home maintenance is going to cost more as well. So that's something that you might not feel comfortable with. You might be okay with the mortgage payment, but maybe the things that come with that home is something that you're just not willing or wanting to do, and that's okay. That's why we're asking these questions ahead of time. That's why we're exploring this beforehand. The second thing to consider is the transaction cost, the cost of actually buying the property. Now, simply because you have the monthly mortgage payment doesn't mean that you're going to be able to purchase a home. There's the actual transaction itself, and that means the down payment required to get into a loan if you are financing, plus the closing cost, something that we forget quite often, myself included. Whenever I was buying my first house, I thought, okay, well, I just need this amount in down payment. All of a sudden, I got slammed with at that time it was like it was like 4% additional more in closing costs. Now, what are closing costs? Closing cost is going to be covering the title policy. Closing cost is going to be lender fees. Closing cost is going to include what's called prepaids. You're prepaying home insurance, you're prepaying property taxes. So this adds up. So you're not looking, if you have a down payment of 3% as an example, if you go with a conventional loan, you're not just looking at that 3%, you have to factor in the additional 3 to 5% in closing costs. Same thing with an FHA loan. The minimum down payment for an FHA is 3.5%. So it's not just you having 3.5% in the bank and you're going to be good with the purchase. You need to have some additional money on hand to cover the actual closing costs. So that's the second component of this. The third component is the moving cost. It will cost money to move from where you're at now to where you're going. So assuming that you have an apartment or you're renting a home, that getting that home back to its original shape so you can get your deposit back is going to cost some money. So you need to have some budgeted away to make that to be able to cover that expense. For you to move your belongings from one place to another, so from one home to another, that move is going to cost some money as well. U-Haul isn't going to pay for itself. Movers aren't going to do it out of the goodness of their heart. The home itself. The home, you might need to furnish it. You might need to do some repairs. You might need to do some upgrading or updating to the home. So there's some cost to the home itself. So to get out of where you're going, to move your belongings, and to actually buy that home is something that is super overlooked when it comes to the moving cost. So just factor that in. So again, from a financial assessment, the very quick and dirty snapshot, the ongoing cost you have to factor in, the transaction cost, factor that in, and then the moving cost you have to factor in as well. That's something that you need to be right with before you move forward in purchasing a home in Frisco. Now, there's some additional things that a lot of folks just don't really factor in when it comes to the actual expense of moving to Frisco, which we'll cover here shortly. But these are the primary ones that I need you to look at. And very soon I'm going to introduce to you the property tax one that is going to affect everybody. So hang in tight for that one. The next step in your home buying journey is going to be find that real estate agent that knows real estate and that knows the market. So those are two very important qualities for a real estate agent. So one that knows real estate, meaning they know contracts, they know addendums, they know how to negotiate, they know how to close transactions and protect clients above all else. Here's an important stat that I want you to remember. Half of the real estate agents last year sold 1 or 0 homes. I'll say that again. Last year, half of the real estate agents out there sold 1 or no homes. That is astounding. So what that essentially means is that there's a lot of real estate agents out there that might not know or have the experience to support you and help you with your home buying journey. So that's something that you do need to vet out. One, again, just confirming, hey, how many transactions have you done? Are you actively a real estate agent? So you're looking for that experience because it's going to really matter. Second thing is somebody that knows the real estate market. So simply because they know how to transact, that's one thing, but knowing your local market is another. So I have all the experience in the world when it comes to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex real estate. I have all the experience that you're going to need for Frisco. But if you ask me to help you buy a house in Houston, there's some people that are way better at that. Like, it might be the same contracts or very similar contracts with a few addendums here and there, but I'm not going to take on a client in Houston. I'm not going to take on a client myself in San Antonio. I'm not going to take maybe Lubbock because that's where I'm from, but I'm not going to take on some, I'm not going to, if I don't know the real estate market in those areas. No, that's something where I would have one of my referral partners take over. So here again, when you're finding a real estate agent, they need to know real estate, and they need to know the real estate market, the market that they're in this particular case, Frisco. Now, A pro tip, here's something that you're going to want to ask when you're interviewing real estate agents is, hey, what's your value proposition? Essentially, how can they support you? What is unique about that individual that will bring value to your life, to your transaction? So simply because you have a real estate license, technically it does give you the right to do real estate, but it's something that not everybody's going to have the capacity at the end of the day. All right, so anyway, asking for their value proposition is super important when you are looking for that right real estate agent. Now, once you do find that right real estate agent, they're going to help you get pre-qualified, given that they have a network that they're going to tap you into. Now, if they don't have a network, then that's probably because you're working with the wrong real estate agent. The right real estate agent is going to connect you with individuals that they trust, that they're working with, that have been doing right by their clients for a while. So here's when it comes to the next step, we're talking about getting pre-qualified. Once you have that right real estate agent, you want to go ahead and get pre-qualified, because it's going to show that your sellers, so essentially homeowners, that you're serious whenever you're submitting an offer. Also, it's going to help you set a realistic budget. Whenever you get pre-qualified, let me back up and share a little bit of what the process is. To get pre-qualified, it takes a couple of hours. It doesn't take a long time. It's essentially filling out an application online where you're disclosing the assets that you have, the income that you have, the debt that you have, and your credit gets pulled. For the most part, those 4 things are going to be requested, along with some basic information, so contact information along the way. So again, the assets that you have, how much you're making, how much debt you have, and your credit's going to get pulled. Once that information goes into the lender's hands, they're going to formulate they're going to give you a pre-qualification letter, assuming that you can qualify based off of the parameters, their lending parameters. And once you have that pre-qualification letter in hand, that's when you can start submitting offers, which is basically proof to the sellers that you're going to be able to fund the purchase that you are trying to make. So again, it sets that budget of how much you're qualified for, and it also lets the sellers know that you're going to be able to fund the purchase of the home whenever you're submitting offers. Super important that you get pre-qualified before you go and start searching for homes. Well, one, because you might not have the correct budget in hand before you go searching for homes. Also, if you find that perfect home, it's better that you're pre-qualified and ready to go to submit an offer within the hour of seeing the home, rather than starting the process of getting pre-qualified and risking somebody seeing that home right after you and them submitting the offer and them winning it. So just because of timing and not being prepared is the reason that you would lose a home. Now, a pro tip here as you're getting pre-qualified is go ahead and get quotes from multiple lenders. That is totally okay. That's actually advisable. The same way that you get multiple bids whenever you're replacing a fence from multiple contractors is the same thing that you can do here. Now, here's one myth that I need to debunk. When you are submitting multiple applications and your credit's being pulled multiple times over, that additional credit getting pulled is not going to hurt your credit when it comes to the mortgage. So when it comes to, if you're pulling it for mortgage, like if you're pulling your credit for furniture and other stuff, then yeah, it will affect it. But whenever you submit your application to a lender and then later on submit it to another lender, for a few weeks, you get a bit of grace from the credit bureau. So they know that you're shopping around for mortgages. So if you do 3 or 4 different credit pools, it's not going to affect you that the second, third, and fourth time individually. It's all lumped in. You get a grace period, so it's not going to destroy your credit if you're doing multiple credit pools with different lenders as you're quoting them out and pricing them out. So just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that, because I didn't know that until I got into the business. All right, so as we get into the home search, remember, we are buying a home in Frisco. So for the most part right now, a lot of the information that we've been covering has been general to the DFW Metroplex. But now we get into Frisco real estate because it's quite unique. Frisco is one of those cities that has absolutely exploded. Frisco is one of those cities that it's a destination city for so many people that live that are neighbors to Frisco. They wish that they could get into Frisco. People that are coming in, they are looking for they are looking to be in the area. So it's something that you want to absolutely. It's something that that's a lot of people are looking to get into the city. All right, but before we actually go through and look at the real estate itself, let's get a strategy. Let's get that game plan together on that home search, because it's if you allow home search to just kind of be, if you just treat it as a hobby, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. So the more specific that you are up front, the more clarity that you have up front, the more enjoyable the home search is going to be, and the less likelihood that you're going to have buyer's remorse. So here's how we avoid the buyer remorse. Well, number one is create a needs list, essentially a must list. What must the home that you're looking? What are you looking in a home? Let's start there. So what are the absolute needs? Like, you don't need more than 5 items here, but what is it that your home must have? Does it need to be 1 story? Does it need to have a pool? Does it need to be within an ISD? Does it need to have 4 bedrooms minimum? What are the needs? Now, here, we're not looking for an entire list. We're just looking for the top 5 things, and what are the 5 things that it absolutely must have, no questions about it, no compromising. It's these 5 things or bust. So what are those needs? Identify those early. Then, after you have that needs, then you can get a little bit more flexible. Then we can get into our wants list. Hey, I would want to be in a home that's 1/3 of an acre, but I'll settle for a 1/4. Right? So I would like to be in that cul-de-sac, but it's not necessary. I could be in, I'm okay with the lot that's in the corner, right? So just as a general rule of thumb, so you're aware, when you buy a home in a cul-de-sac, generally those three, so you have 2 and then the one in the front. I'm doing a terrible job representing this, and I'm going down a rabbit hole, but hopefully this helps somebody. In the cul-de-sac, typically you're looking about 1/3 of an acre with the 3 homes that form that cul-de-sac. And on the corner lots, so typically corner lots are about 1/4 of an acre, about a 1/4 or a 1/5 of an acre. So that's where you see most of the lot. That's where you see the bigger size lots. Anyway, I totally went down a rabbit hole. I just wanted you to know that. And a pro tip here, because we're about to start looking at Frisco real estate at the moment to see the prices, look at different real estate available and everything in between. But a pro tip is do life in your future neighborhood. Do life in your future neighborhood. So as an example, if you have lived and worked in McKinney your entire life, you grew up in McKinney, you have worked in McKinney, you live in McKinney, and all of a sudden you're thinking, hey, you know what? I still will be working in McKinney, but I want to move over to Frisco now. Go and check out Frisco after work. Go and check out Frisco on your off time. Go and try to live in that future, in your future neighborhood. The more that you experience your future neighborhood right now before you actually live there, the less likely that you're going to have buyer's remorse. Again, we're trying to avoid that buyer's remorse because it's a real deal. So again, do life in your future neighborhood as much as possible. Go ahead and drive it. Go ahead and try to make that commute before and after work, just so you get to feel what it's going to look like when you're living in the place that you actually want to live in. So that's a pro tip right there. But let's get into some Frisco. Let me get myself off the screen here for a quick second so you have the full Frisco available to you. So Frisco right now has over 1,000 homes available for sale. This is actually one of the biggest cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. A lot of people don't realize that because they continue to see Frisco as that small, quaint town, that small suburb town, but it is a behemoth now. This is a destination city that a lot of people want to live, not just here in the Metroplex, across the state, across the country. Frisco is a destination. So think of Frisco as the new Plano. And I'm not trying to disrespect Plano, but I'm just giving it to you like it is. All right, so Frisco, let's take out the other type of real estate available right now and see how many homes, how many residential homes are available for sale in Frisco right now. Look at how many homes are available for sale right now in such a, in my opinion, such a compact area. We've done videos in Fort Worth. We've done videos all across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and this is one of the most, this is one of the cities that has the most amount of real estate available for sale right now. And it's not because there's the fire sale, but because there's such a demand. There's such a demand in Frisco right now. The least expensive homes for sale right now in Frisco are in the low 300s. So if you have a pre-approval in hand for up to $350,000, you can still get into Frisco. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think they need the 400, 500 and above, but that's not the case. Now, what you're going to notice here is that these homes, they're all brick. Typically, whenever you look at the least expensive homes in an area, they either have that wood siding, they have maybe a one-car garage, maybe they have the just homes that the garages that have been converted into a room. Well, not Frisco. Their least expensive homes right now for sale are moderately sized and are end-to-end brick surroundings, or made out, not made out of brick. It's made out of made out of wood. It's just brick siding. So you see the type of real estate available for sale right now. Now, something else that you're going to start seeing as we go, actually, not even that. You're going to see reduced. Right now, it is about, we did this math earlier on in our sales call with my real estate team. There are 6,500. There were 6,500 price reductions in this past week in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, with only 200 price increases. What does this mean? Well, there's almost 20 times more price decreases than increases. So the market is softening. So if you've been looking, so reduce. If you've been thinking about getting a home and have been waiting for the prices, for the price to come down, yes, for sure. And for the interest rate, that one I can't promise you the interest rates to come down. It might make sense for you to start looking at the homes now and make an offer that the sellers would need to consider. Look at the type of real estate that's available for sale right now. Let's check this out. Let's put the maximum price. Let's say we have a pre-approval of up to $400,000 and see the type of real estate that we can afford. Now, this is going to tell you something pretty unique. This is going to tell you where the homes are available for sale right now. You're going to see the west side here near Hackberry, where the homes are that under $400,000, and a little bit east of 289. So you see where homes actually are priced at. There's 32 homes under $400,000. So again, if you have a pre-approval for $400,000 in Frisco, you can still get into the city and get the benefits of the incredible ISD and be good for it. Now, let's continue. Let's see what type of real estate we can afford with a 500. So 400 to $500,000. I want to give you that blueprint as well. You see that opens up a good portion of Frisco throughout. You can see it through the central part of Frisco to the south part of Frisco. There's 100 homes available for sale in Frisco right now between $400,000 and $500,000. So if you have a pre-approval up to $500,000 right now, you can find a very sizable, very beautiful piece of real estate. So check these out. Right, and they're all brick. They're all, I mean, I'm telling you, Frisco is it. This is a destination city for so many. Now, let's continue going up a little bit. Now we're gonna increase the budget just a little bit from 500 to 750, where you're gonna find the bulk amount of the homes. So here you're gonna see 200, and you're gonna see about 28%, 30% of the inventory available for sale is between $500,000 and $750,000. This is where the bulk of the opportunity for you, if you're looking to get into Frisco, is going to be between $500,000 and $750,000. So if you're within that budget and are trying to get into Frisco, you have basically the world at your feet, the world of Frisco at your feet. You can get into any community, well, let me rephrase that, most communities, not any community, even some new builds at this price point. So you're going to have options. All right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these properties and we're going to try to buy it. I'm going to give you a real life example on the math that goes with buying a Frisco home. And here's where I introduce the concept of property taxes. We're going to go and do a mortgage calculation to give us an idea of what our monthly mortgage is going to be. And we're going to use that opportunity to then look at what property taxes are, exactly what the property taxes are for Frisco, because that's going to matter. If, for those of you that are not aware, property taxes in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex are among the highest in the country. In fact, Texas has among the highest property tax rates across the country anyway. So it's very important that we go through and find out exactly what that's going to be. Now, remember where we're coming from. We have, we've given ourselves permission to continue the journey. Just if the price is right, if everything is right, I'm actually going to commit. I'm going to commit myself to see this through. We've done a financial assessment. We assessed the ongoing cost, the transaction cost, the moving cost. So we're kind of actually doing some of this right now. We're finding the right real estate agent. We found the right real estate agent. We've got pre-qualified. So now we can, once we find that perfect home, we are ready to submit an offer. So we'll actually make an offer here shortly, and I'm going to go through what to do while you're under contract on your first week, your second week, your third week, your fourth week, and what to do when you close and after closing. So we have all of that ahead of us. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through and make a calculation here on what our monthly mortgage payment is going to be if we buy a home in Frisco. I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So all you're going to need to change is basically going to be the home price. So check this out. Now, I'm going to open this up to illustrate a point. When you open up the mortgage calculator, this is available to you right now. If you just go to bankrate.com and go to the mortgage calculator, this is available to you right now. And you're going to notice something very interesting. You're going to notice that this home price right here is quoting you $280 a month in property taxes. This is wrong. Absolutely wrong. Do not take this. Do not use this valuation because it's wrong. You're going to see exactly how to do this right here shortly. So let's buy this house real quick. Let's buy this house in Frisco for $650,000. And we're going to take this opportunity to talk about everything that goes into a mortgage payment. So when you buy this house at $650,000, you're going to be putting down payment. Now you could do an FHA down payment of a minimum of 3.5%. So you would just put that here, or you can do a minimum down payment. If you do a conventional loan of 3%, you could do a VA loan for 0% down. So if you're part of the military, you could get into this community and you could get into Frisco at 0% down. But for our purposes today, we're actually going to put 20% down on the purchase of this home. Why is that the case? Well, when you do 20% down, you are avoiding what's called mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is an insurance that the lender puts on you in the event that you default. So essentially, they're trying to limit their losses in the event that you're not able to pay back that loan. Now, if you have 20% down, you avoid that mortgage insurance altogether. So if you put 20% down or above, you're good to go in avoiding that. But if you put less than 20% down, that's totally okay as well. Just recognize that there is going to be mortgage insurance on that. And that mortgage insurance is going to be about 0.5 to about 1% more in interest, basically. And I'm going to show you what that PMI looks like here in a couple of seconds. But let's continue. Just want to give you the distinction on what that's going to look like and why we're doing it the way that we're doing this. The term, we're going to go with 30 years. Interest rate, we're going to go back to bank rate and we're going to type in the mortgage to see what the mortgage rate is. This is all publicly available, folks, so you can do this alongside me or whenever you're watching this video. So this 6.87% is the average right now. So we're going to take the average, 6.87%, and we're going to pretend that that's the interest rate that we get. Now, again, this is an average, so you might be able to get a better loan. You might be able to get a worse loan. It's just going to depend on how much you're taking out. It's going to depend on your loan term. It's going to depend on your credit. It's going to depend on your debt. It's going to depend on all of these numbers that you're giving to your lender, and they're going to give you the interest rate that they give you. Zip code, we're not going to worry about the zip code because we're going to put the rest of this information manually, so we have a really good base to go with. The credit score, we are going to go ahead and leave that enough alone as well, because again, we're going to be doing this manually. And you're going to notice one thing: whenever we put 650, it gave us a property tax bill of 428. Here again, this is wrong. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like right now. Property taxes in Texas are high, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. They are high. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Frisco property tax rate over on Google. Now, even AI is going to get this wrong, so just be careful. And you're going to want to find the official website. Now, sometimes the official website is right. Sometimes the official website is wrong. So you're gonna, let's just say for this example, if Frisco, I don't know if it is yet or not, but let's just say Frisco's property tax rate is not reflected on the websites that we find, you're gonna wanna go to the county itself and go and do it manually. But for our purposes today, let's hope that Frisco did share their information correctly. Oh, and they did perfect. This is great. This is great. All right, so here's what we have. This is good. Oh, they even have a map. Look at that. Look at them. They are good. All right, so check this out. Let's talk about property tax rates because they are so important in Texas. Whenever you are trying to calculate the property tax rate in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there's up to 5 numbers that you're going to need to add up. Again, if you're looking for the property tax rate of how much you're going to be paying in property taxes, there's up to 5 numbers to consider. Number 1 is going to be the city tax rate. That's number 1. The second one is going to be the county tax rate. The third one's going to be the ISD, so the school district tax rate. These 3 numbers for sure you're going to need to find regardless of the city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and add them together. So these 3 numbers for sure you can't get out of them. You need to find them for those 3. The other 2 that I was mentioning are, I don't want to say optional, but oftentimes do come up. It's just going to depend on the city that you go with. But in Frisco, we're going to see which ones we're talking about. The other 2 numbers are going to be comprised of the higher education tax or the hospital network tax. Higher education, hospital network. So there's up to 5 numbers. Remember, there's the city, the county, the ISD, the higher education, and the hospital network. There's up to 5 numbers that if all the numbers are there, we're going to be adding together. So let's see this Frisco breakdown. So you have Frisco, it's divided out. So you have a portion of it in Collin County. You have another portion on the west side, which is Denton County. So if you're on the county, the Collin County side, you're going to see that you have the city tax rate, which the first one that we talked about, the county tax rate, the second thing that we talked about, and then the third is going to be either you're at Frisco ISD or Prosper ISD. So that's going to be the third one. So it's going to be this tax rate or this tax rate, plus the higher education tax. This is Collin County Community College. So if you're on Collin County, you're looking at this one, and one of these 2. If you're on the Denton side, which is on the west side, so if you're on the west side over here, you're going to see it's the city, the county, and one of these 3 ISDs, Frisco, Louisville, or Littlewell. And here you don't have that higher education tax that you do up here in Collin County. So at Denton, you don't have that. So let's go back to that house that we've been trying to buy. We are in Frisco. We're in Denton County. So we are using this calculation right here. And let's see what school district we're in. We're in the Frisco ISD district. So notice Frisco's in both counties. It's in Collin and in Denton. So for us, with this property that we're trying to buy, it's going to be this plus this plus Frisco. Let me know if you have any questions on how we got here. I want to show you the property tax rate. So if I'm losing anybody, please let me know in the comment section. And also, if while you're down there, go ahead and give us a like. Give us a like. You're here. You might as well. I'm kidding, but not kidding. Alrighty, so check this out. The property tax rate for this home is 1.6. What is it? 1.67%. This is a property tax rate. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. We're gonna remove that. We're gonna 0.0 times the value of the home that we're buying, which is $650,000, right? That's the home that we're buying right here. It's 650. So we're gonna do multiply. What did I do? I did something wrong. Oh. Yeah, I did that wrong. 0.0167 times 650. Yeah, because that looked way too low. All right, that's a little bit better. So your property tax rate, 1.67%, which is what we just calculated, times in this case, we're doing the market value of the home, is $10,855. Now we're going to divide that by 12. And you see that the property tax bill is $905. So when we go back here, notice that we undershot it by half. It's twice as much. So our property tax bill is going to be $905 on a conservative amount. It's actually less than this, but on conservative amount, we're paying $900 in property taxes per month. Now, the reason I'm telling you that it's actually a conservative number is because this is on the higher end because we used the market value. The market value is what we actually purchase a property for. The assessed value is what you're going to actually be taxed against. The assessed value oftentimes is going to be lower. And in many cases, it's going to be, depending on how active you are with property taxes and applying the homestead exemption, it can be substantially lower to where the market value may be $650. And if you do a good enough job of protesting and getting all that fun stuff, you could get that assessed value down to $580, $600 pretty comfortably. And we have videos on how to protest your property taxes to be able to achieve that on the channel. So make sure you check those out. But again, for our purposes today, we're going to leave this as is. We're going to say that the property taxes are going to be $905. So notice that it's not that complicated once you know where to look. It's not that complicated once you know where to look. So we can keep it moving because my roofer's calling me. Just have some investment properties that I'm going to do new roofs on. So let's keep it moving. All right, homeowner's insurance. A homeowner's insurance, speaking of roofers, a homeowner's insurance is on a property of this value, you're going to look at about $225 for a homeowner's insurance. Homeowner's insurance is so hard to price right now because prices are so high. I could very easily say $250 and I would still feel pretty comfortable that that's an okay number. You could probably find, you would find homeowner's insurance for way more. You're not going to find it for much less, but I'm trying to give you a reasonable number on homeowner's insurance on what you could expect per month. The best thing that I can tell you here is bundle it up with your automotive, price out, work with a broker. If you need an insurance broker, feel free to go to dfwhomebuyerclass.com. We have options for you. Also, price out your homeowner's insurance every year. Just quote it out. Get somebody else involved because homeowner's insurance is just so tough right now. So let's just be thankful that home insurance companies are still insuring and issuing policies in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, because in a lot of other markets, they're out. Florida, so many have left the state. California, so many insurance companies have left because it's just impossible at this point. So $250, that's reasonable. You're not going to get it for really much less than that, or you need less than that. I might actually be undershooting it, but let's say $250 per month for homeowners insurance. PMI, private mortgage insurance. We're not paying private mortgage insurance here because of the down payment that we did of $20. I'm sorry, 20%, not $20, 20%. So we're not paying PMI. Now, had we done less than 20% down, remember that's when we're paying mortgage insurance, and there you would be about 0.5 to 1% more in payments. So here on a property of this size, you're looking at 250 plus per month in PMI alone. That very, very comfortably. HOA. So let's see if this home has an HOA, which most likely it does. Association fee, 711. That's interesting. 711. And how often is this charged? Is this yearly or is this quarterly? Semi-annually. So semi-annually, that means that this is going to be 1422. So it's going to be, what is 1422 divided by 12? That's 118, so $119. All right, so $119 in HOA. So you're going to see for a home of this value, if you put 20% down with the rest of the information in place, you're going to see this number move to your monthly mortgage payment, and that's going to be $46.88. So roughly, if we round up to be conservative, it's going to cost you about $4,700 in the monthly mortgage payment to live in this home that we just priced out. So that's roughly what you're looking at whenever you're looking at a home of this size, this value, in Frisco, Texas. So again, this is part of our home search strategy. We went and found the home that we wanted in Frisco. We went and did the calculation to see what that looked like. Now, our next step is going to be very simple. It's going to be making an offer. Now, one quick note, everything is negotiable. So you're going to see the contract that you're most likely going to be asked to sign from your real estate agent. Now, if you're working with a real estate agent, awesome, congratulations. If you're not and would love, we would love to have a conversation. If you're looking to buy in Frisco, our contact information is down below, so feel free to use it. But a quick reminder, this all of our notes, all of our resources, everything that you're going to need to know is in our class right now. So just go to dfwhomebuyerclass.com. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, this is the contract that you're going to most likely be presented from your real estate agent, and we're going to go through the important parts so as not to bore you, but it's important that you understand what the contract does and what it doesn't do. So parties, pretty straightforward. Who's the buyer, who's the seller? Property, pretty straightforward. What property are you looking to buy? Exclusions, when you see a property, and anything that's affixed to the property, whether it's on the ceiling, on the floor, or on the walls, anything that's attached to the property is assumed that it's going with the sale, meaning that it's conveying. That's the assumption, unless it's called out here in the exclusion. So as an example, if you went to the property and you found if you saw a beautiful chandelier at the entrance, and you're expecting it to convey because it's attached to the property. If it shows up here in the exclusions, it is not conveying. They're saying, hey, I know that this chandelier is attached to the property. It's in the ceiling, of course, but we're actually going to take it with us. It needs to be in the exclusions list. Again, if everything that you saw whenever you went to that property is assumed it's going to convey, unless it's called out that it's not. Sales price, here's where you're putting what you're offering for the home, and you're going to show how you're going to finance that property, whether it's what percentage you're going to put in cash and what percentage you're going to finance. This says a lot about your offer. Leases, there's three types of leases. Residential is if somebody is living in that home, which is most likely going to be an investor selling that home. Fixture leases, there's all types of fixture leases, but the most common one is your solar panels. That's becoming way more common these days. Natural resource leases, if there's a lease like on oil and gas, you'll usually see that further out from the DFW Metroplex. So it's going to be rare that one of these three is going to apply, but if one is going to apply, the most common one's going to be in the fixture leases, at least at the moment. Earnest and termination option. So earnest is, think of it as a good faith deposit. this good faith deposit is something that's going to get credited to you at closing, or it's going to be given back to you if you do not breach the contract, and you get out of that contract in a compliant way, or it's going to get kept if you break the contract. Those are the three things that can happen with earnest. So again, it's either going to get credited to you at closing if you end up buying, or it's going to get returned to you if you exercise your exit from the contract in a compliant way, or it's going to get kept by the homeowner if you break the contract. Now, the earnest money is not legally required, but it is expected. Typically, the sellers are expecting about 1% in earnest. Again, this is a good faith deposit. Now, whenever you execute this contract within 3 business days, you need to have this available to the title company. So if we do a 1% of this home that we're trying to buy in Frisco right here, it's going to be about $6,500 that we're going to put in this field here. Now, again, that's earnest. That's good faith deposit. Now, option, that is a fee. So it's an option fee. Here, we're giving ourselves a certain amount of days to do additional due diligence in that property. So in this particular field, I'm seeing about $100 to $200 for about 7 days to do option. So within the 7 days, we have the option to get out of that contract for any and all reasons. But what we do in this option period is we'll put in an inspector to give us a full breakdown of what the home's condition actually is. And we're going to take that opportunity to either negotiate on what we find in the inspection, or just keep it moving, or just get out of the contract altogether for any and all reasons. Within that option period, that's when most of the contracts end up falling apart. That's what it's there for. So the option here again, it's now if you give yourself 5 to 10 days in the option period and you decide not to move forward, and within that option period, you just you just cancel the contract and you go on about your way. Now just know that this is not returned to you. This is something that's actually not kept by you at this point, because it's a fee. It's not a deposit. It's not. That's why you're not entitled to it back. Okay. Title policy. Title policy is essentially an insurance that you're buying what you say. You're buying what you're buying. So here, let's say you buy the property, and for whatever reason, somebody comes out of the woodwork and says, "Hey, this property should not have been sold. It's actually mine." Well, the title policy is going to indemnify you from that, so you can rest assured that what you're buying is in fact what you're buying. That the home that you're buying in Frisco is in fact yours for the long run. Now, the title policy, whoever pays for that, it's negotiable, so the seller or the buyer can pay for that. So you could ask for the seller to cover it, or you would cover this expense. It is going to be part of the negotiation strategy. If it's a normal market and you're putting a fair offer in place, it's common for the seller to go ahead and cover that title policy. Now, again, here it's very important that you're working with a qualified real estate professional that has experience that can craft that offer to where it gets accepted. So don't just take that comment and say, "Hey, the seller, some guy on YouTube said that the seller's supposed to cover that." That's not what I said. So don't put words into my mouth. I'm kidding. Survey is a piece of document that lets you know what it is that you actually purchased. And this survey is going to let you know where the boundary lines are. It's going to let you know if there's any easements on the property. It's essentially a survey of the piece of property that you purchased. Now, this survey, if there is no survey on the home because it got lost, or basically it's got lost, or it's too old or not legible, then you would need to get a new survey, and whoever pays for that again is negotiable. Just to give you an idea, a survey is about $600. So it's a very important piece of document that you please do not want to lose. Since this property is in an HOA, again, we're buying this Frisco property right now, we're going to put that it is mandatory to the Homeowners Association. And we're going to keep it moving. Now, if you are in Texas, which is where you are buying in Frisco, I don't know why I said that, you are entitled to a seller's disclosure. A seller's disclosure needs to be provided by the seller. Now, the only reason that it wouldn't be was because if it's owned by the bank, then they're not required to do a seller's disclosure. But under Texas Property Code, it is required. So from a normal seller and investor, they need to provide this to you. And the seller's disclosure is essentially is the homeowner filling out to the best of their abilities what's in the property and what's functional and not functional. So that is a long list of items that they're going to check through and give you their condition, what they know about the property. You're going to most likely be buying the property as is, or at least you're not going to be negotiating up front until that inspection is done at option. And then service contracts. This is basically your home warranty. You can ask for a credit here. Home credit, a reasonable home credit for a property of this size is about $600. If the seller is part owner here, then you are looking at disclosing that the seller is part of the transaction. That the agent is part of the transaction. So here, if someone has a real estate license, they need to disclose it here. Closing right now is there's 25 days is what I'm usually seeing right now in the closing period. It can be sooner, it can be later, but for the most part, it's reasonable to close on a real estate transaction right now in about 25 days. You can do it sooner, you can do it way faster if you wanted to, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on you, the system, and all that fun stuff. But 25 days is more than enough to close within a reasonable amount of time. That is the contract. That is, again, I wanted to really give you a breakdown of what to expect whenever you are navigating the home purchase in Frisco. Now let's talk about what happens once you get under contract. I know we're zooming through this, so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the chat. I'll make sure that they get answered by myself. All right, so week one, once we're under contract, again, we've executed the contract, we found the property, we put together the perfect offer. Now we are ready to finish the transaction. We gave ourselves 25 days to close, so I break this down into 4 key weeks. Week 1 is going to be a week of inspections. Week 2 is the approval week. Week 3 is conditions. Week 4 is move-in. So week 1 is typically going to be comprised of the option period. So we talked about that option period in the contract. So it's a time where we do our due diligence and we're having our inspector go out and inspect the property to give us the condition of the home. Now, if there's some additional information that we need, either from a roofer, from an HVAC, from a foundation company, because the inspector says, hey, you might need to get an HVAC technician out here because I couldn't get the unit on. They're not going to spend the time to analyze what's wrong with it. They just called out, hey, I just couldn't get this on. So you would need more specific inspections out there. So within that option week, or within week 1, typically you're going to be doing a ton of inspections and seeing what assessing the condition of the property. This is an opportunity for you to either ask for the seller to repair some of the items that are found, and or the seller to credit you, or just not do anything with it. Just take it as is and keep it moving. So week 1, again, this is the easiest way to get out of the contract if you find something wrong with the property, or if you have immediate buyer's remorse. That's the inspections. Now, week 2, we're talking about approval week. Now, assuming that we're ready to go, we went through the inspection and we feel comfortable with the home that we're buying, we move on to week number 2, and that's when we're working very closely with the lender and title company so we can get our loan approved as quickly as possible and our title policy issued as soon as possible. So here's where you're supplying as much information over to the lender as possible, W-2 statements, tax returns, if you are business owner, your income statements, balance sheets, all that fun stuff. So sending as much over to the lender so they can send it to the underwriting team, which is what we're going to talk about in week 3. But here in week 2, they're going to order an appraisal, and an appraisal is basically where an appraiser goes out to the property and gives their opinion of value on that home, which leads us to week 3. Once week 3 happens, at this point, hopefully your lender has already submitted your application or your loan into the underwriters so they can give you back initial feedback on what additional items they need, what clarifications they need from what they saw, or any other conditions that they need from you before you can get approved for the loan. So here again, you clean up conditions, which is basically what the underwriters need from you. They either need clarification, documentation, something else, so they can approve your loan. So you're cleaning up the conditions in week 3. Also in week 3, what happens is you get the appraisal back at this time. So the appraisal is again where the appraisal goes to the property, and we'll go out to the property and we'll give their opinion of value. So here, since we're buying this Frisco home, remember, let's not lose the plot. We bought this home for $650, so we're under contract for $650. And if the appraisal comes back above that, meaning, hey, I know you're under contract for $650, I went out to the property and it's actually worth $700,000, congratulations, keep it moving. You did a really good investment. You're walking into equity. That's fantastic. However, if the appraiser comes back and says, I know you're in a contract for $650, but I think that this home is actually only valued at $600. There's a difference of $50,000. Now you have to do some problem solving. This difference, so again, you're in a contract for $650, and the appraiser's telling you it's only $600,000. So that $50,000 gap, something needs to happen. And there's 4 things that can happen from here. Either you, as the buyer, come up with the difference, so that $50,000 you add out of your bank account into the deal because the lender's not going to finance that amount. So you add that additional $50,000. That's option 1. Option 2, the seller decides to lower the asking price to what the price is or what the appraisal came back as. So you're in a contract for $650. The seller says, all right, well, since it's only worth $600,000, so let's rewrite let's do an amendment, and I'll sell it to you for $600,000 because that's what you're going to get financed for. That's option 2. The seller comes down. Option 3 is where both of y'all compromise. You put some additional money into the deal, and the seller decides to lower their asking price somewhere in the middle. So the answer is going to be somewhere in between, right? So the seller's coming down off of their price, and you're going up on yours a little bit. When I say you going up on your price, I mean you coming out of your pocket. In addition, you're not going to come out of pocket to the $50,000 tune, but you need to close that gap somehow. That's option 3. Option 4, you're sending over that you can't get approved for the loan, and you move on about your business. So the deal doesn't happen. And the seller technically could say, yeah, I'm not going to move it. And since they're not going to move it, you're not in a position to come up with the delta, then the contract just doesn't move forward and it gets canceled. But it's very important that you have the clauses in place, the appropriate clauses in place, especially, we didn't cover it right now, but the third-party financing addendum is super vital in order for you to have that option. So again, working with a qualified real estate professional that knows how to do this real estate world, it's going to be very, very helpful in week 3. In all the weeks, but week 3 is very vital for you. And in week 3, you're going to be receiving the closer's disclosure, which is required to be sent to you 3 days before the actual closing, 3 business days before closing, so you have enough time to review it. The closing disclosure basically shows everything, shows the commissions involved, shows the interest rates, how much you're paying in fees, how much you're going to be paying in interest at the end of the day. Like, it shows everything. So you're going to want to review it, and it's also going to let you know how much you need to bring to the closing table in week 4. So week 4, you are scheduling your closing, at what time of day you're going to close. You're going to be activating the utilities on the property, so it has the utilities, water, light, gas, all that fun stuff. And you're going to be scheduling your walkthrough. Your final walkthrough is going to be either the day before or the day of closing, where you're going physically to the property to ensure that it's in the same condition that you expected it to be in. Closing, this is where you're wiring funds and or bringing your cashier's check to the title company. So this is where we talked about, remember up here when we were doing the financial assessment, there's a transaction cost. This is where you're coming up with the down payment and the closing cost. So you bring them to the title company the day of closing. And once that is done, everybody signs, you're officially a homeowner after the loan funds. So after all the signing is done, all that's going to go over to the lender so the lender can approve it and they fund the loan. Once the loan funds, you're going to get a phone call from the title company saying, congratulations, the loan has funded, come get the keys. Then you're a homeowner. That's pretty cool, right? Now I know we went through a long journey together, so a like is going to go a long way. But in addition to that, there's something that needs to happen after you buy that home. Number one, you need to enjoy it, but beyond that, there's some things that are going to be very helpful that you do to save you a little bit of money on property taxes, to save you a little bit of stress and save you a little bit of time, and to move in appropriately. So we have a checklist, and you're seeing part of the checklist here. So week 1, we have everything that you need to do within your 30 days, what you need to be doing, your yearly to-dos, and your pro tips. So this is one of the many checklists that you're going to see in the DFWHomebuyerClass.com. So again, if you go to DFWHomebuyerClass.com, you're going to get all of these resources and then some. You're going to get calculators, you're going to get checklists, you're going to get all these strategies that are going to save you a ton of money when you're buying your next home. With that said, if you found value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, and also type in Frisco. If you made it out to the end, I really appreciate you. Again, if you're part of that end crew that is here watching, type in Frisco. Let me know that you're here. And outside of that, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much. Bye.